Yo, what's up, my peeps? We are back with the Live, Love, Lift podcast. I'm your host and the owner of Aion Training, Marks McDuffie, joined here by my co-host, Redwood Sean.
Hey man, that's my nickname. Don't wear it out,
I will say,
All
I
right,
was
Sean,
telling him
happy to be
earlier,
back.
we moved from one streaming to another streaming thing, and we still got the Redwoods rocking strong, and I'm just, my blockhead's getting cut off, but
There you go. Got to keep things consistent. We can't change things up too fast on everybody.
exactly. All right, my peeps. Well, we'll jump into everything for today. So, for today's episode, another holiday special from the Ion team here. And today we want to talk about another thing that we see coming up a lot for our clients around this time. And our goal is to help you use this time to set yourself up for success in the future. What does that look like? Does that look like cutting out everything and I don't have a single piece of pumpkin pie or Christmas cake? No, it looks like taking care of yourself. So for today, we're going to talk about why is there this whole thing about new year, new me? And why not just start today? So the big thing I wanted to bring up today is I want you all to just take a second and think about adding 10 habits right now. You probably get a little scared, right? You're probably like, oh my God, how am I supposed to handle adding 10 new habits to my life, even if they're all good things? But I want to pull that back some and think about one small habit. What is one small thing that if you did this by the end of the year, um, like what would that mean for you? What would that take away from you? What would that really shit, hold up. All right. We're gonna cut that piece out of it and we're gonna rewind it back some. Yeah, and today I just want to really talk about just like the power of adding in one habit. If you try to add too much right now, there's a lot of stuff going on. We get that. I don't think it's the best time. But if you can just add one habit into your life, that brings a lot of power. And it once again shows you, like we talked in our last episode about, hey, like I can take care of myself even when things are tough, and I showed up for myself. So, Sean, what do you have as kind of like maybe some examples of habits that people could bring in or try at this time?
Yeah, I think just looking at the basic ones are pretty effective during this time. Good one. That's a really easy attachable habit. And I just think too, like looking at again to Marcus' point, which I love, is not waiting for permission to start doing the things that are going to make you feel better. Like if I start, drinking, 64 to 100 ounces of water today on a daily basis, how much better am I going to feel by January? And then it's just a continuation of my goal. Or on the flip side of that, if it's something with a reading goal or a walking the dogs goal or a being with family, like I think that you can really relinquish a lot of power and also a lot of accountability by waiting for a certain date to start kind of a journey of holding yourself accountable for something, if that makes sense. So again, that's telling me that I have to wait for a certain date to start doing the things that I've wanted to do for a long time, or I know are going to make me feel better in the long run. So I think just simple things and really looking again at the journey, from a bird's eye view. I'm not a huge fan of resolutions, honestly. Yeah. I'm a bigger fan of goals, because goals have a clear, measurable outcome. So, looking at, hey, over these next, it could even be a reverse New Year goal where it's like, hey, by January 1st, I'm going to have done this X amount of times. Like, like again, I think that's a really great way to build momentum, build confidence, build competence. And it's not about being perfect, but pursuing that before everybody and the Hallmark channel and everybody tells you that it's time to write down the things that you want to get better at next year. Like, let's just start today, and really leaning on, the people in your life that you trust to help kind of hold you accountable to those processes. I know that's something that I do is kind of outsource some of my goals to other people and use that as a way, because the biggest goal I have to myself is always, being true to my word and true to the things that I say to myself and to others. So I think within that, just think of a small thing that again you can look at as a goal and really measure yourself against when we get to January.
Yeah, and I think that's a couple pieces on that because I think all of us have been through, and especially for a lot of our members when it comes to the fitness side, they've been through the piece of, oh, I'm gonna start this on this day. And I think the problem in that is at that moment when you have that thought, the energy to do something, right? Whether that's through, life event happened, you're just really excited, you have the courage, whatever it is, like the energy and the fear are both very, very high. So it's like, all right, I'll start it here. The problem is that fear for that thing or whatever the hesitation or the thing that's in the way, it doesn't really get that much lower, but the starting energy does. And I think what happens a lot for New Year's goals is people start thinking about them in December, and then you get to January and it's not there. It's not there anymore. And so I think if you have that thought at any time in the year, like, I'm going to start doing this thing for my health. I'm going to start doing this thing for my heart. I'm going to start doing this thing for my own fitness. Find a very small way to start it. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to start working out this next year. So today I start with 6 workouts. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to start walking. And then you start that now. So then when the next year starts, you've already started it. That energy is carrying high, and you'll have even more as you enter that new year. So I think for a lot of peeps, it is, don't grab a big goal right now. I don't think this is the time. But yeah, I think finding one of those things, like Sean said, whether it's the reading, the water, the something that just embodies taking care of yourself, it'd be a shame to miss out on a really powerful time that a lot of people just go in January, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think another kind of effective strategy, another way to think of this too, is if you have, and I think all of us know the things that we need to change and the big goals that we have for the most part, right? It doesn't take a certain month for me to know that I need to do this thing to feel better. I know that all the time. It's just putting it off until that day, to Marcus's point, which I think is a really good point. But I think an effective strategy to think about how to kind of piece your way, or I always love to say, like, eat the elephant one toe at a time, is think of that really big goal and then think of one step, the smallest step towards that goal, and make that a habit before January. So if you wanted to maintain of like, I'm a January 1st person, by January 1st, I'm going to set myself and I'm going to read 100 books this year. Maybe the next month and a half or whatever time we have till January is like researching the books, blotting out days and times that you're going to read, right? Be strategic, create, a battle plan for how you're going to get this thing done, so that, again, that fear and that, initial startup energy that Marcus is talking about, all of a sudden fear starts to drop, because it's like, oh, okay, well, now I have a strategy with which to get this goal done. So when that date comes, if it is delayed and the energy is a little lower, you can look back and say, I've already started the process. I've already done the work. And more important, I think, for our members and a lot of people with the fitness, is buy in early. Put money in the game, skin down, whatever you want to call it. Like, the minute you commit to it and do a small action towards committing to the bigger goal, the easier it is to follow through and execute on the back end.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a really great point too, because this time of year, it is a big time for reflection for a lot of people. It is the time where we step back before the calendar changes and go, what was this year for me? So yeah, for some people, I think doing that, like having that January 1st is very helpful for them. And I also think at the same time, like you mentioned, hey, like if the goal next year is, hey, I'm gonna, whatever, I'm gonna lose 30 pounds, or I'm gonna start working out 3 days a week. Okay, cool. Well, start with one today,
Yeah.
because it's a lot easier to start to go from one workout a week to 3 than it is to go from 0. Like it, and it sounds like, oh, it's only one more day. No,
Yep.
and for anyone who started anything,
Yep.
know that going from doing something to doing it some more is way easier than nothing to go. So for a lot of peeps here, yeah, use this time. Think about already, like, what is it that you want to? I know you're tired. I don't want to think about shit. That's okay. Too bad. You care about yourself. Make a little time. And yeah, I think that's a great piece of that, Sean, of just, hey, find a small chunk to start feeling really confident about now. And then when the new year starts, you're really, really setting yourself up for a better success.
Yeah. You just got to keep the ball rolling at that point, which is always easier.
Yeah, exactly. Dope, my peeps. Well, that is another episode from us here. We are getting closer to the end of the year, and I asked you all, what do you want to look back on this fourth quarter of the year and say? What do you want it to be about? What do you want to be proud about? What are you going to accept that just isn't going to happen? I think both of those are very important, you know? So as we end this year out, take some time, set those non-negotiables for yourself, start to think about how I want to end this year, what I want this to mean. And once again, if you need accountability with that, or you just need some support, feel free to talk to us as one of the coaches. If you're a current member, if you're not, and you're looking to join an awesome community where we do talk about things like this instead of just, you need to count your calories and blah, blah, whatever the hell else they tell you, then you click the link below or check us out at aiontraining.com and, tell us you're from the podcast. We would love to see you soon. So take care.